overcome. So I understand the song "We Shall Overcome" is connected to Dr. King's and the civil rights movement. So would you tell us about the meaning or the importance of the song to the movement?
Yes. I'm going to back up a little bit because your question inspired me to find out a little more of the history of the song. But that song, the music originated as what would be called a spiritual, and slaves would sing often while they were working, and the words of the songs, and there are many, many sets of different words, had to do with their life was very hard now, but when they all got to heaven, things would be okay. Like they would even have shoes or they'd have a chariot. So uh, the tune to one of those songs was put to words, and eventually they used the words from another song, which became "We Shall Overcome." And in the 1940s, so slavery, they could have been singing that tune back in say 1800 or before, but the tune with those words was used in the 1940s. But at first it was used for labor, which would mean if you were working many hours a day at a hard job and you only got 40 cents an hour, well, you might pick it and sing that song to try and get your wages raised. But it was heard by Martin Luther King and some others in what would become the civil rights movement. And eventually it became the unofficial um, anthem of civil rights. It was used at marches and sit ins, at great big rallies like the one that I was at. And at worship services, and the words to "We Shall Overcome" were used about 4 days before he was killed. Martin Luther King used those words, and what he did was recite the words. He didn't sing that time, he recited them. And if you've ever heard him speak, it's like nothing you've ever heard. It's just so important. But the words were a promise that eventually we will overcome injustice and prejudice. And did you notice in the news just a few weeks ago, a man died? His name was Representative in Congress, Representative John Lewis. John Lewis in 1965 was in Selma, Alabama on a day called Bloody Sunday. And he was beaten. And he said that while that was happening to him, the words to "We Shall Overcome" gave him courage and strength so that he could endure a really terrible thing. So that I could go on and on. It turned out there are a lot of interesting stories about this, but my own experience is that it's fun to sing, but it also I've been in places singing it and with certain groups that it's a very, very moving song. So I hope someday you'll be in something like that.